Oh my god, hey, my name is Mickey Jo and I am here today at the rehearsals for The Book Thief the Musical in concert to chat with one of my favourite West End performers. Broadway audiences will know her from her fantastic performance as the nurse in And Juliet, and London audiences will remember her most recently for her WhatsOnStage Award-winning performance as Hermes in Hadestown at the Lyric Theatre. Currently, she can be seen at the Old Vic Theatre as part of the extraordinary company of Mary Page Marlowe, and for 3 performances this month, you can see her as Death in The Book Thief. Please join me by saying, oh my god, hey, to Melanie La Barrie. Oh my god, hey, Melanie La Barrie.
Hello again.
Lovely to see you. Now, earlier this year when we last spoke, you were attempting to take a little bit of a break after your time in Hadestown, and now, as we currently speak, you are doing a play at the Old Vic and also rehearsing a new musical at the same time. So how's that going?
I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no to either of them. I couldn't say no to sitting down on a stage and watching Susan Sarandon, right? Yeah. And I couldn't say no to coming and working with Tom Jackson Greaves and Jodi Picoult. Yeah. I just couldn't say no. Yeah. Jodi is like my favorite author, like one of my favorite authors. I'm literally fangirling when this crossed my desk. I didn't even read the script. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I didn't know if I didn't know what. Well, I obviously know what the book is about because I've read the book. Yeah. I missed the production when it happened, but I didn't know anything about it. But as soon as I saw those 2 names at the top of it, I said yes. And now I've met all the other amazing creatives who work on it and met the beautiful Tim. And, it's just such a joy. So I just couldn't say no. I mean, I haven't slept for 5 weeks, but...
And the role that you are playing in The Book Thief, the musical in concert, is Death.
Yes. You see, I've made this joke several times, but it's only because it's true. When I was in my 20s, I played a lot of women in their 40s. Uh-huh. When I was in my 40s, I played a lot of women in the 50s and 60s. And now that I'm in my 50s, I can't age up anymore. So now I'm only playing immortal characters.
Still great roles in the West End for women in their 50s, as long as you're willing to play death or undead.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And then Mary Page Marlowe, you're playing, the official character listing is Nurse. Which is...
It's Nurse.
It's a throwback.
Yeah, it's great. It's like, it's like how many times can I play a Trinidadian nurse in the West End? Yeah. No, it was... Again, when you read the play, it's just such an interesting thing. I know some people say it's like, how do you get, people like Paul Thornley and Lauren Ward and Hugh Quashie and, and even me to go in and play one scene, and you go, well, because you know what you're contributing to the whole. There's so many reasons to be a part of that project. It's Matthew Warchus's final season at the Old Vic, and I was in a production that was in his first season at the Old Vic. I was in the Lorax, like 10 years ago. So it's an honor to be back for Matthew, who gave me, I think, one of my most fun creations in the West End, Mrs. Phelps. So I, of course, had to say yes to that. But I've never done a Tracy Letts play before. So that's a great reason to just go and get your mouth around Tracy's perfectly formed words. And it's, that's the thing about, doing a play by Tracy Letts is that you don't have to work hard because it's all on the page for you. You just turn up. And then, of course, as I said, Susan Sarandon, you sit there and you go, yeah, I want to work with Susan Sarandon. And we have such a terrific time on stage. It's 2 grown-ups just sitting on stage, listening to each other, having a talk, having a little twinkle at each other across the stage. And yeah, I love that woman. She's such an icon as well. And she's so iconic, but she's literally the most regular person you could just be around. She's such like just there, an actor with all the other actors, and that's such a great thing. So to be able to do that, I had to, when it came through, I said, oh, gosh, do I really need to play another nurse? But yeah, I did for this particular project. Maybe I will never play another nurse. I don't say that because it might be. People love seeing me play a nurse. I don't know why.
Have you done the Romeo and Juliet?
I have. Yes, I did it in 2017 at the Liverpool, when the Liverpool rep was reprising its, was bringing back the rep. I played the nurse in Romeo and Juliet, and it was right before I played the nurse in And Juliet.
Yeah. I think you may have, until people write new nurses, I think you may have covered them all for the time.
I think I have. It's just like, all right, no more nurses. Yeah. And then Riot Women just started on the BBC when it was a couple of nights ago. And I'm on there playing Anne Reid's at-home nurse, at-home carer. So I said, well, there I am once again.
I went to Representation last night at your former home, the Lyric Theatre, and Nina Wadia was hosting, and she said she used to just get cast as nurses, and she'd been told by a casting director she had nurse face. So
that's it. It's so funny because when I used to go to class, I used to go to acting for film class when I was in New York. I used to go every day on my day off, every week for the time that I was there. I went to class. And, there was one time we had a class and you sat there in front of the screen and then you asked the class, what do you see me as? And I suppose some people, it's how people perceive you at the end of the day, right? And I was never an ingenue. I was never, the young, spry thing. I always had, I suppose, a very mature energy. Mm-hmm. I don't particularly like children, but I also have a very weirdly maternal energy. Yeah. So it's, people perceive, it's what they want from you. And you can't be mad at that because it's, we make art for people to perceive. And if people look at you and they go, oh, you're that person that I wish would care for me, then you have to go, well, then that's what I have to be. Yeah. And now I'm deaf, so good luck with that.
But you've also, by being Melanie La Barrie, blazed a pretty extraordinary trail through the West End and in a lot of beloved musicals, created a great many roles that now exist. And I think it was at Musical Con a little while ago, you were saying that roles that you created with a Trinidadian accent that are now, that's the way they're characterized. That's the way they're portrayed. I'm thinking about Mrs. Phelps in Matilda, but also Mrs. Corrie back in Mary Poppins. And then, of course, creating the nurse in Juliet. Do you feel very proud of the impact that you've made, especially like back in the early 2000s?
I guess I never really thought about it. Because I was doing these things, I think, before social media. I know lots of people, they have a whole thing about saying, this is the first this and this is the first that. And I never really thought about it. I like, it's kind of cool to be the first person to do something like when it was Wicked's 40th anniversary. Yeah. And it turned out, I said I wasn't sure, and somebody messaged me and said that's true. It was true that I was the first Black woman to be cast as Madame Thénardier. I didn't get invited.
As Madame Marble.
As Madame... No, not Wicked, in Les Mis. Yes, it was Les Mis 40th. Yeah. And I was the first Black woman to be cast as Madame Thénardier. Yeah. And then I think I was the first Black woman to be cast in the role as Madame Marble. Yeah. And other people tell me that because I don't know. I'm not going to be searching, the archives to find out. But that's what I've been told. And, that's like pretty cool. But it's only cool if other people get to do it. Yeah. And that's what I love about making a role is that, is the thing that I always say when I make a role, it's not for me. I'm not making a role for me. I'm making a role for other people who come after me. And if I could see all my little sisters, and all my little cousins and all my friends, all my friendly friends go into a job because I've made it, and I've made it in a way, I mean, they don't have to do the accent. The accent is just the way that I speak. And people just kind of say, oh, just do it in your own. It's not like a character choice. Yeah. It's like when people play British characters and they're just British, and people who play, like Americans, who play American characters and they just speak the way that they speak. I just speak like this. It's not a thing. I'm not trying to make a Trinidadian character. I'm just a character who speaks in a Trinidadian accent because that's how I was made. But it's so cool that to make something that other people who are like me get a chance to do. That's my job. Yeah. That's what I come out for. I'm not here to be famous. I'm not here to be the first. I'm not here to blazing trails. That's only cool if you blaze a trail that's permanent and you blaze a trail that other people can walk on. That's the point of that. I don't need no banners with my name on it. I don't need nobody to put up there. I don't need Instagram posts. I just need to know that I'm doing work that other people that can reliably follow on in the footsteps that I'm laying down, that people can follow on in those footsteps, and they're people that look like me. Yeah. Or are like me in some way. Because Kiala and I are twins. Uh-huh. We're 20 twins. Yeah.
When's she going to do Hadestown? That's going to be...
I really wanted to do Hadestown, but I really wanted to be Persephone.
Yeah.
Because she'd just be a marvelous Persephone. Listen, if I was a casting director, I'd cast all my friends. Because I'd like Melinda to be Persephone as well. You know?
I'd buy tickets to that. That's fantastic.
Exactly. You know, you just like these women, these fantastic women who could just do everything. And, you know, and I love seeing them on stage. I love seeing them shine. And, you know, and... I'd love, that's what I want to see. I keep saying to them, I was like, you got to go in for this. You got to do, it's like Paolo being Hades. I was harassing Paolo for months, maybe years, saying, Paolo, you have to go in for it. And he was like, I don't think they'll see me. I don't think. And I was like, Paolo, you would be perfect. You must go and do it. And now he's like, I really wish you were here doing it with me. And I said, oh, well, if they call me, if I'm asked.
Yeah. Broadway would be very lucky to have you back. And with that cast at the moment over at the Walter Kerr, they're getting a little bit of the flavour that happened at the Lyric when you reopened it here, because previous to this, it's sort of always been just a lot of American accents. But the great thing about the London production was you had Zachary and you had yourself and you had Gloria, and we had Midlands regional accents and we had Irish accents and we've had various Celtic Orpheuses. And it really empowers it to feel like this story of the world. And that's one of the many things that made your Hermes so fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really love playing that. I really love making that. And I hope I didn't take it too far away from the original conception, because you always want to honor the work and you want to honor what people have created and what they've made. And again, it wasn't because I was trying to put my own spin on it. Because if somebody came and said, please stop, I would absolutely stop. But it was just the way that the character came to me. You know, it's the force of me as a woman, force of me as a Trinidadian, force of, the culture that I have. Because I always say to people too, is that you can't just, if you say that something is, you want specifically the accent, you can't just want people to make funny noises. Mm-hmm. When you say you want something to happen in an accent, then you're asking people to bring their history. You're asking them to bring their ancestors. You're asking them to bring their cultures. The full force of the place is brought to bear on the thing that you make. And so when I made Hermes, it was very much not just talking in a Trinidadian accent while having American mannerisms. That would never work. Yeah. It would be too incongruous. Even if it didn't appear incongruous to the eye, receiving it would be incongruous in my body, and it would be something that I would be very unable to play. Yeah. And so it was just me really just making the thing from my heart while respecting what had been made and respecting the people who had made it. So.
I'm curious about the way you initially approached it, because Andre de Shields originates the role on Broadway, Mr. Hermes in a suit and tie, and then ingenious replacement casting, Lilias White comes in a very feminized bodice, Mrs. Hermes, and then it arrives back in the West End at the Lyric Theatre, and you are a Hermes in a suit and tie with no specific gendered pronouns. How much of that had come from you, and what was the reasoning behind that?
It came when I was preparing for the audition. I hadn't seen the show. Uh-huh. I hadn't barely listened to the show before I started auditioning for it. But I just couldn't say the words. Like, again, it has to be what's, the thing that fits in my body. And my mouth physically couldn't form around the words Mrs. Hermes. Uh-huh. And I was like, this just feels so weird. It feels so odd to me to say Mrs. Hermes. Like, who is she? Is she wife of Hermes? Like, what? Because Mrs., in the way that they use it in America, is not really something that we use and understand here in the UK. Correct, yeah. And it's not something we use and understand in the Caribbean. So I was like, it just doesn't feel right. I feel like there was one point Anais asked me if I would call myself Mr. Hermes, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'd happily do that, because everything has to be right, and she's written it so specifically. But yeah, so I just auditioned and I just said, yes, it's Hermes, that's me, without putting a gender on it, because I felt that's just the way Hermes arrived to me. Because a lot of the time too, there is no thought going on in my head. Uh-huh. A lot of the time it's Elmo's song. There's really not much. There's not much swimming around in there. And I just wait for things to arrive. I wait for, if some people call it inspiration, I just wait for the character to just kind of like fill me up. And when Hermes arrived to me, Hermes just arrived as Hermes without gender. And then in reading about it, I'd read a really cute little snippet that Hermes had asked Persephone to get married before Hades snatched her away. So that Hermes was in love with Persephone. And I was like, oh, that would be pretty cool to play. So I had this thing, and then it was like, and then a lot of like Audrey Hepburn and they used to wear those great pants in the 50s, and I was like,
like Marlene Dietrich.
Like Marlene Dietrich, and yeah, it's like, getting all that. And it was specifically a picture of Marlene that I went to the designers with, and I was like, it's this is what I have in my head. This is what's important. And Michael, the designer, he said, well, we have lilies in these corsets. And I was like, I want to wear the suit. I want to wear, this suit is so iconic. It's like, wow, why would I not wear the suit? And so it was just all of those. It was like a building, like I didn't really think, but as I was going along, I was like, yeah, I don't have, I don't have a gender, but I could wear a dress. It's like, so that's what I was thinking. It's like, and it's not that I was playing on specifically non-binary Hermes. It's just that I was playing Hermes without form. Yeah. And to play Hermes as a woman without form, then everything that I did was to kind of, to confound expectations. So having the suit, having the asymmetric wig, I was like, God, you remember Victoria? Mm-hmm. That kind of thing, so it's always like, because Hermes also too has this kind of trickster energy. It's like, you can change form, you can be things, you can be, that kind of stoic, if you'd like, I don't like these I can't even talk about Hermes in any kind of gendered terms. Yeah. Because it just doesn't make
entity
sense. It's
that
just
Hermes
an entity that can do everything, that you could be masculine and be maternal and be feminine and be stoic and be, and that you could feel every emotion, feel all of it, and contain it, and encourage people to feel it. It was a thing. It wasn't a fight, but they were like, we would like that at the end of the show that you encourage the audience to feel better. And it's always a naughty part of me that was like, why? Feel bad. You should feel bad. I told you in the beginning that it was a sad story. And if you didn't pay attention, because that's the thing, right? That's the thing about life now. It's like, if you don't go vote, then you get what you deserve, Or if you ask for a thing, then you can't be surprised when you get what you're given, So if I tell you what's going to happen and then you don't pay attention.
Why are you gasping? Why are you shocked?
Why are you shocked? And then I must make you feel better? I said, absolutely not.
Always the nurse.
Always the nurse. I'm like, learn your lesson. Yeah. And so, but also, I hope I did do it. But also it's just, is sometimes I always say I'm an existentialist with a small e, in that I believe in the inherent sadness of life, but the joy or the resilience of existence is about making it through. Mm-hmm. It's about knowing that life is hard, it's difficult, things don't always work the way that you want to do, but surviving anyway, which is kind of what the book Thief is about. We're telling a story within of one of the most difficult periods of human existence, and saying that it's not just changing the world in big ways, but changing the world in small ways. And sometimes it's just surviving. That is your act of resistance. I always say, my presence is my protest. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that I turn up every day. The fact that I, as a Black woman, keep turning up in these British musicals is my protest. It's my, so I will be there. I will turn up. My protest might be quieter than the way that other people protest, but I turn up. I like existence as a form of resistance. So yeah, so that's how that was a long answer to how did you make Hermes, but
Perfect. I could listen to you talk about it endlessly. It's so interesting to me. And now we have to talk about The Book Thief. Yes. So tell us a little bit about what audiences can expect from The Book Thief in concert at the Prince of Wales.
Well, it is, first of all, it's a stage presentation, a semi-stage presentation, I will say it that way, because, of course, we're on somebody else's set. So it wouldn't be a full set. It wouldn't be a full costumed production. There will be notes of it. But it is really about asking people to come be with us while we show you new materials. So the show had been made before. This musical has been in development for 9 years, which I said to the writers, it's the perfect amount of time to spend with a musical, because you can't make a musical in fewer than 9 years, because it's not going to be right. You have to spend time with it. It takes the gestation period for a brand new musical is a long time, and it's painful. So there's a lot of new material. There's a new conception of death, because when you think about death, we often have ideas of, big imposing figures and, that come and gets you. And it was played by a wonderful human, Obi, and who did a fantastic job. Beautiful voice. Oh, that voice is delicious. But they wanted to have a rethink about it. And we kind of thought, what's the thing about death? It's a thing that we all have in common. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the only thing we all have in common, right? Is that we die. So it's always present, but it's unnoticed until you have to regard it. So we thought, wouldn't it be really fun to make death as just somebody who's just kind of like hanging around, just like one of the people, a little bit bumbly, a little bit, just regular. Nothing imposing, nothing special. But it's only when she's seen is when, and to make her kind, because we wanted that even if people die in a horrendous way, that they meet death perfectly. And then we, of course, have these beautiful children telling the story. So you don't want to have just, something scary and imposing just following these kids the whole time, So we wanted to also remind people of the great lightness of life in the face of death. Yeah. That life carries on, and you have joy, and you have laughter, and you have family, and you have friendship, even when, life is dark and scary. And I think we need that message now. More than ever, because we live in unprecedented times. And we need to be reminded that sometimes simple existence is the way we get through it. Yeah.
You are a beloved icon of the musical theatre community.
So weird. I never see myself as an icon. Good. Because
I don't think you
call
need
yourself an icon.
Yeah.
And you can't call yourself a diva. Like if anybody says, I'm a diva, you go, you are not a diva.
Which I have never heard.
No. But it's just like other people have to call you that. I just find it so weird because I'm like still like trying an actor, just like trying like everybody else. Yeah. Like getting told no, for self-tapes and, so it's so weird when people go, you are beloved. And like, oh my God, tell the people who like, I keep sending these self-tapes to.
But along the way, you have really affected and uplifted a lot of young actors that you have worked with. And this is what we hear endlessly about the brilliance of Melanie La Barrie. It's not only the magic that you create off stage, it's also, on stage, I should say, it's also what you do for companies off stage.
I love, because again, I talk about what my job is. What is the purpose? I always say when I join a new company, I say, I want you to think about the kind of person you decide to be in this world. How are you going to turn up? I want you to think about the kind of artist you want to be. How will you be thought of, right? How are you going to contribute? What are you going to give when you go into a space to make art with other people? how are you going to make other people feel when they're around you? You know, you want people, when they see you come through the door, you want them to go, oh. Or you want them to go, oh, she's here. Yeah. So to me, that's very important. Also, my job is to nobody asked for it, but to tell people what I know. That is my work. You know, I didn't go to drama school. I hardly ever know what it is I'm doing. But my job is, if I collect some information, other people must have it.
Yeah.
Just in case, because it might have another actor who didn't go to drama school and don't know. So I'm like, let me just say it out loud to everybody else, just so that everybody has the information. Also, it's one of the last community spaces we have is making theater. Like, community spaces are being ripped away from us everywhere in the world. People like have to fight to like have choirs and, have art spaces and have community centers. So to get to come into a space and make something with somebody, it's like, oh, this is just so cool. And, I take being an elder very seriously. I demand a lot of respect around me as well, because I'm not playing with these little children. I don't play with me. I'm not doing that. But also, it is my duty to care for people. And it is because I was cared for when I was coming up, by the Julia Suttons of this world, by the Jenny Galloways of this world. I was taught things and told things and nurtured. In my first West End show, I watched Maria Friedman show me how to be a leading lady, and how to hold herself with grace. I watched that. I watched Susie McKenna, lead rooms with kindness and, with great vulnerability and great strength at the same time, and with a great sense of fun. Sharon D. Clark showed me how to be in a space as a singular person and command respect. I see people like Noma Dumiswini doing parts and roles that, oh my gosh, you wouldn't think, and be so excellent. I met her the other day, and I was like the craziest little fangirl. She had just come to see the play, and she was like trying to tell me what, that she thought I was good, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Noma. I was so excited. Because again, for me, it's like you say something like, I am, and that is the greatest entrance and exit ever. That was Cat Simmons, everybody.
Brilliant.
The brilliant Cat Simmons. Yeah, you say, you are an icon. But for me, I am a fun girl that have been poured into by so many incredible people. So my job is to pour into all the people that I get to be around, and you're just watching people. I love watching people be excellent. I get to come in and watch Cat Simmons and Jack Lord do scenes, and I'm like, this is amazing. I get to watch little girls, Estella and Blake. I have to call them young actors now. I have to be careful how to regard them. Can't call them kids. But, but watch these young people be so excellent and prepared. And I'm like, wow, there's so much. They receive so much and they just do it. There's no, would my character say it like that? And there's none of that. There's no ego. And you go, oh, this is great. So, yeah, I get to teach, but every day I'm also taught. And I think I always want that cycle of energy to be passing through me.
Yeah. I could ask you questions about your wealth of experience and knowledge in the industry for hours, but I need to let you get back to rehearsal for The Book Thief. I cannot wait to come and see it.
You come in?
I'm coming on the 19th. Yes! But audiences can also see it on the 26th
They can.
Of this month, and they can catch you at the Old Vic in Mary Page Marlowe until the 1st of November.
That's it.
Yeah, and then hopefully another rest.
That's not.
No.
There's not another rest. I'll see you again very shortly,
I
I'm
look
sure.
forward to finding out. I look forward to it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Of course.
Make sure to get your tickets to see Melanie La Barrie on stage as Death in The Book Thief for 3 performances only on the 19th and 26th of October, or for the rest of this month in Mary Page Marlowe at the Old Vic. I hope you enjoyed listening to Melanie speak as much as I always do. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my theatre-themed YouTube channel or follow me on podcast platforms for more interviews with theatre stars coming very soon. And in fact, if there's one you're particularly eager to hear, let me know in the comments section down below. In the meantime, I hope as always that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day. For 10 more seconds, I'm MickeyJoTheatre. Oh my god, hey, thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!